How you feeling, man? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I just as I just reflect on things, I'm like, wow, I got a history, and I should be proud of
Yeah,
myself.
you have an
And
amazing
I should be,
story.
yeah. I was thinking I should be proud of myself because I'm not jaded, and I still love creativity, and I'm still respectful, and I have my, integrity.
So
Yeah.
we stopped at Jimmy Henchman.
Yeah.
What how did that go about?
So what happened was I'm in Hip Hop Project, and Hip Hop Project now is becoming this huge thing, and all of a sudden now we're about to go into theaters. So everybody from 50 Cent, like I said, it was sponsored by. It was now big people are getting a part of it. Russell, Queen Latifah. So even before the film was coming out, I was talking to Russell because he was starting.
Russell Simmons?
Yeah, Russell Simmons.
Okay.
He was starting. The Def Poetry Jam. He was
Yeah.
like, I want you on there. I want you to take 3 of your songs, and I just want you to put it in poem form because your words are prolific.
Yeah.
And literally, I remember because my mom, Russell, they was at his office and he was talking about, and there was another poet in the back. He was waiting, something ice. Name of the poet was something ice. I remember it vividly. And I was worried about Puff, because at the time I was also doing a movie. I wrote and executive produced on a movie called Annie Be Real, and I remember Russell Simmons saying, "Yo, there's relationships that's bigger than you. Don't even worry about that. Mm-hmm. The movie is gonna come out." You know what I mean? And it got to the point where it was big. Bruce Willis came, Queen Latifah. It was huge. So now my stock is going up because they watching the film and they watching what's his name what's his name Sway in the morning talk about how one of the most talented people he ever seen, because he asked me to freestyle, and there's a clip, there's a high level performance clip in the film, so that they rented out 42nd Street theaters. It was a big celebrity event. So now it's like now the industry is learning about me, and right then and there, Leo Colin had, because I was being managed at the time. This guy was my manager. His name's Al. Leo Colin asked that Thursday, yo, we want to do the deal, and then that Friday it was like, oh no, we can't. Never mind.
Wait, so you was about to do the deal?
Yeah, with Def Jam.
With Def Jam.
Yeah.
And then the next whatever day that was, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday came and no deal.
Yep.
Why?
Right, exactly. And then I never forget also too, it is what it is. Russell, we had a conversation, and then it turned. It turned.
I was just hoping not to hear this.
Yeah.
So
it turned uncomfortable.
Situation number 4?
Yeah, it turned uncomfortable and immoral quick. And it was like,
And then that's when the deal didn't happen?
So right. But I can't speculate what's happening is now is like there's a process of, look, before you get into these things, happen. Yeah. So it's consistent. But then there's consistently people who are not into that, and they're looking at the ability. It's like, even like right now, like a situation I got with my guy Life in Atlanta. His producer, his manager was like, yo, y'all got a hit. Yo, do another one of those. So Life was like, yo, he said he want to do another one. So he do another one. It's like, yo, we want to do another. So then he was like, look, man, if I orchestrate the situation, let's do something at Rock Nation. Yeah, why not? Of course, I'm going to be an artist. So it's like, and this is why I was reluctant to even have certain things, because I understand the stretch of the behind the scenes, and everyone wants to sit there, but nah. There are people who use more of their resources to stop and hurt careers than help. This is a disgusting, uncomfortable truth in the music industry. Why? Because at the end of the day is when you look at the word monetize, people think make money off of, but the suffix of it is control.
They want to be able to monetize, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the suffix of it is control. So with that,
monitor. Is
where you go. Right.
Yeah.
You can't go there. You could go there, but you can't go there. Right. So, and I will say this, people criticize a lot of street artists, but their environments create them to have a level of moral fortitude where they never want to do things that's compromising to a man for an opportunity. I've never seen in any situation where I've been around people that was just straight, street it wasn't about that. And there is a I don't know if it's a stimulation, it's an insecurity, but there is an infatuation with the emasculating of males, and it's a consistent thing. So, and being through that, and then having family members and different people shit on you and give up on you and all of that, but then it's constantly the stranger who just only knows the music and doesn't so then that keeps you where, and to this day, I deserve my shot to be an artist, so I'm working my behind off to do that myself.
So, it's got a little, it's real, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause I know. So I know you can't. I don't want to touch. I'm not aiming. I don't want to touch on anything personal, right? But these situations.
If we do, I'll articulate it to the point where the child gets the lesson, because right. All agendas, the word agenda is linked to what? Time. Mm-hmm. All agendas are linked to human beings of time. Who are the human beings of time? Children. They're the human beings of the future. What is the future? A spectrum in time, right?
Yeah.
So it's very important that this next 17-year-old not going through this. It's consistent. So if they could get the information without me, being extra provocative, that's what it's about. Because I'm not here to create. I'm here to be an artist.
And you're just telling your story.
Yes.
And, you're telling your story to your best abilities, and you're being conscious that you're still... The unfortunate in this music industry, there's a thing called blackballing.
Right.
Which it seems in this situation, I won't say you were blackballed, but you kind of pulled back on, I feel like you went through a certain trauma that made you uncomfortable with even continuing to try to be an artist.
And that's fair, but respectfully, if I divulged certain information, you would say I was blackballed. But because I'm giving it to you in this perception, in this position, you're coming up with your opinion in that, and which is understandable because it's logical. It's more so of what you said. But truth being, in certain moments, I know what blackballed is because I know I was in situation where it's like, yo, this big deal is on the table and it's bam. And then that even leads to the only situation where I wasn't blackballed was the Jimmy Henchman situation, where it was like, yo, he's like, and when I went to Yogi and I said, who's Jimmy Henchman? He looked at me, I don't know who that is.
So he didn't know who he was at the time.
He lied to me.
Oh, he did know.
I'm going to tell you how he lied to me, because he lied to me. I'm thinking, oh, okay, you don't know who he is. We go there. Yo, Jimmy Henchman presses 9 on his phone. And Yogi picks up. You see what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there. So he's like, shh.
So, all right, circle back.
Yeah.
Because we just we was talking about Jimmy Henchman.
Yeah.
What does Jimmy Henchman have to do with any of this?
So what happened is Jimmy Henchman partner see me at a...
This is after you off a Bad Boy?
No.
Or
I'm getting off. I'm around the time.
I'm
I'm getting off. I'm beginning to get off and not knowing the trials and tribulations to go through. This is right before I found Dwayne and really went through the practical steps to get off.
All right. So now,
but
Jimmy
he
Henchman.
had the power to make that happen, and me be out there.
So you met Jimmy Henchman.
So at the time, I'm being managed by this guy. His name's Al. So once again, me attaching my personal relationships. Al's like, look, we're not gonna rock with Jimmy Henchman. I'm like, what do you mean? Why we not? This guy just made 2 phone calls and he got Yogi on one call, he got Harv on the other, and then he got Puff on another. And was like, yo, Verse is gonna rock with me now. Like, what? He's explaining to me, I'm not understanding who Jimmy Henchman is. Because he's kind, right? He's short, kind, mad respectful, Caribbean. And he's telling me, he's like, yo, there's a guy, 50 Cent, coming. And you're going to be proud. I said, I don't want to compete with nobody. He said, no. You're not competing with him. But he said, you're such a bright spot that the world is going to identify with you more because he's a street dude.
Yeah.
You're not. And a lot of people don't understand. And I said, so why does that matter? He said, you'll understand later because, he thinks some things about me that's not true. And he's making his moves and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I heard of him. He was in the when we was in the Studio B. He did the hook for one of the tracks Yogi did. Take This Money for G-Dep. Ain't no way. That's the first time I seen 50.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And yeah, he had them things on him. and Puff was like, you got to carry that everywhere. He was like, yeah. But now when I look and I see the disdain for Diddy that 50 has.
50, yeah, because 50 keeps throwing shots, but this goes back.
Yes, it's very evident in where, the abuse of power in certain positions. And it's like, now I'm in a position where it's like,
now I could say F you and you can't affect my business and all that.
So, a lot of things of me being silent is just being fair. Like when someone communicates that they can have your family killed or things of that nature, and you understand that they're rich enough that they could go down, you really start to contemplate certain stuff like, is that worth it? So, yeah, this is real, so.
And we're not speaking on anybody. We're just saying that the people that in this industry at this time have relayed that they can do these things.
They can do these things, and I've encompassed 3 powerful people, and they all had the same agenda. They just was different. Some were passive aggressive, some was aggressive about it, but it was this consistent system of this unethical aspect of compromise that I just wasn't willing to do.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So we all know, right? The devil eats talent, right? He grows from just eating talent. So based off of who you were as a young kid, you didn't have any ambition to be an artist. You just had talent.
Yes.
You was walking around, you rapping, but like I said, the devil sees talent and says, I can eat this. I can.
And let me be clear with the ambition. I had the ambition to be creative for a living. So if that meant being that, fine.
But you didn't know.
It wasn't like, I want to be rich and famous. No. Creative, yes, there's a therapeutic. It's part of the reason now I could go to the studio and write 10 songs.
1 second.
Yeah. It's part of the reason now I could go to the studio and write 10 songs.
You got like 1 million songs, bro. Every other day you got
right, because the craftsmanship, skill is not talent. Talent is when God says, "Here, let me give you these abilities." Skill is nurtured through consistency and persistence, and that practice becomes effortless, and consistent execution in any primary moment. So when I'm on a stage, it's because I've practiced so much. So the breath control is there. Like, I'm really into artistry in this intricate space.
Would you say Diddy, is that like the positive things about Diddy? Did he help with that? Was
Yes.
he part of that?
He helped with the development of songwriting. He helped with my understanding of recording. He's a genius. Like, he's a genius. And he understands the concept of creative development in its purest form. Like, he really does. Like, and I genuinely believe that, there's even times where, outside of everything, if I could know, and I don't mean this in a condescending physical way, but I mean it's a place of just vulnerability that's human to human. Like, if I could have a conversation with him, no camera, no bodyguard, like, why this and that? Like, because when now that he has a 15, excuse me if I get emotional or shed a tear or whatever, but now that he has a son, like.
Sons.
Right. I was their age. Well, what did I do to deserve that?
Diddy was also, how old was Diddy around that time?
Mid-20s, 30s.
Mm-hmm. And this is after the Shine, like the Shine thing.
Yeah,
was
I was
Shine
there.
On? You was at the club when the Shine thing happened?
So the thing is this. I'll say I was present when he was signed and everything. I'll say this. The first time I met Shine, I'll never forget. Right? I was sitting in his seat because he was recording his album. And he was like, yo, you mad nice, shorty, but you sitting in my seat. And I was like, oh, excuse me, sorry. He's like, yo, you mad nice. And I'll never forget, he was the first artist that I seen relay frustration to Puff, and there was no consequence.
Because he was a street dude. Do you think that if you was a street artist,
it would have been different? Now, mind you, her fellas, right? I think it would have been the same thing, hence, because, they weren't no slouches. They were just younger, and it was more so like they, happy to be here type thing. I think if after a while, it probably would have been, because, and like I said, this is not character assassination. It's just the realization of the core character of a person. And certain things are a choice. And I think some traumatic thing happened to Sean Combs that convinced him that the nature of how I have to exist, I have to dominate other people. Something traumatic happened to him where it was like, yo, there's a stimulation that comes from that or whatever. So why I say that is, I think the her fellas would have, there would have been a situation where there would probably been something physical or whatever. Because I know Maroc, I know Papa Sim. You know what I mean? They weren't no soft individuals. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's, and we don't want to use your situation that happened with Diddy as the reason why they didn't make it. Or are they still signed to Bad Boy? Or
to this day, no. No. But I will say this. I know in certain situations at the time when I was in the group, he was stopping certain, because I was a part of it.
Because of you.
Because I would not do certain things.
And
it was hard for me to go and tell them, because like,
you don't have that relationship with them, and you're still experiencing it at the time. Right. It's uncomfortable for you what's happening.
Because if we would have had that, then I would have been like, yo.
And you didn't want to mess up the deal. You still wanted it to work out.
I would have been like, yo, Maroc, yo, Pop, yo, come here. I would have never been alone around him.
Yeah.
I'd have never been alone. That alone thing, whew.
is where the problems lie.
Yes. You feel what I'm saying? That alone thing, yeah.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
Speaking on Bad Boy, there's a history of this story is like not just just bad situations happening within Bad Boy.
Yeah.
Is pretty common.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And right now, while we're doing this interview, a situation happened with Cassie.
Yes.
Where now she was about to, sue him, and she came out and said that there was a rape charge and an abuse charge, and I guess she got some bread off of that.
Right.
Or, no disrespect to her on how, because it was a civil case to begin with.
Right.
And I guess maybe he wasn't willing to give up the money, so they had to come out with, publicly. And now I see it in another situation with Harv Pierre. Things are just starting to happen.
What's crazy about Harv, right? And this is how and systems, right? We need to remember that systems are a group of people. Mm-hmm. And so there's a guy who, right before Jay-Z was becoming president of Meek Richards, he was an executive at Def Jam. This is how I ended up writing the whole album for this group called Retro Kids. And it was it was produced by Jimi Kendrix. This is my introduction to working with Jimi Kendrix, one of the most talented producers alive, living. Jimi Kendrix. Period. Go look at his resume. Not just because his Mariah Carey, Jay-Z, Mary J. Blige. The skill set of producing is sick. You could do no wrong working with that man. You know what I mean? It was a pleasure. And when I started working with him, I said, oh snap, this is a different level of working. But before I did that, the Meek Richards contacted me and was like, I heard you're a musical genius. And I said, yeah. He was like, yeah, I heard you're a musical genius. And I was like, how? He was like, Harv Pierre is the god child of my daughter. And he said, this week Sal's mouth. He said, right now, Puff getting his emotions and stuff and all that, and he bullshitting. But this kid verse could write and perform anything. This dude is a genius. Now, why I say that is every day I'm in the studio. What's up, Harv? Quick nod. Never says nothing to me. I never even knew he knew I existed.
What was Harv, on the label?
He was the vice president.
Okay.
I never even knew he knew I existed. And here he is telling a guy, yo, you want somebody to write your personal whole album? This is the dude.
The first time you actually communicated with him, this is what he said.
Right. Yeah. And then now I don't care, because at that time he was like, yeah, keep it on the raps, but Harv is my godchild, and that's how he's related to who's with Nipsey Hussle? What's her name?
Lauren London?
Yeah, it was right, because they also wanted me to work on the soundtrack for the first movie that she was doing with T.I.
Not Roll Bounce. Atlanta?
Yeah, no. Atlanta. And I was writing for so much people at the time, and then what was happening, and this is the positives, is people are going like, I'm not getting credited, but I'm in the rooms doing the work, so that person will know, oh, he did that, and okay, so get him to, and then now all of a sudden, I'm writing for this person, I'm writing for that person, but it was still a lot of transition of Ghost production and not opportunity. And you always hear these sign people be politically correct with the version of opportunity. Mm-hmm. Opportunity is transparent. Don't mistake business transaction that only benefits one party for opportunity. Opportunity elevates both people in its transaction. If you are not benefiting from the transaction, and it's not an opportunity. So yes, a person could be famous. You write in a record for them. But if you're not fairly compensated, can get on the record, something that can elevate you, you're not benefiting just to say you did that, because you're not even going to get the credit for the record. There's so many records that I'm a part of that I don't have contractual credit from. Mm-hmm. So I fell back from that. Now, I will say, the skill set is keeping me to the point now. It's like I could compete because I write songs, on a premier level. I understand the fundamental aspect of songwriting. And that has been helping me build certain relationships.
Wow. Speaking of relationships, I want to circle back to something, you don't have to, you know, get into too much detail on it.
Yeah.
But the hip hop project, how did that come about?
So it's a guy by the name Chris Caziro. He was he came in from the Caribbean islands. If I'm correct or not, I think he struggled, with homelessness at a time, and then he met a teacher who also a Jewish guy who also had a company called Art Start, and he was like, "Yo, you're so creative. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to create your own program within there." And he created the Hip Hop Project, and the Hip Hop Project was an incredible program for young people to develop their skill sets, learn the business, and potentially get tangible opportunities that go from that. Mm-hmm. And it started to do that. And then as it got to that big stage, I think, because he was a younger person, he was in mid-20s. I think his need for because he's artist himself, talented in his own right, I think he needed to. He was juggling that.
Yeah.
And when I look back at certain things, I like to have a conversation with him too, because I just in building and that. But he provided something that was an incredible opportunity for us to develop and grow from.
And you said Bruce Willis, Queen
Latifah. Bruce Willis, Queen Latifah, and Russell Simmons started to invest in it, and then it got huge. And then that's why when Bruce Willis brought us the studio, and Russell Simmons, and then Queen Latifah started to invest in it, and then then we were everywhere. But then I think the technicality of the business started to outrun, because now things was appearing hypocritical, because here's this movie and this program talking about empowering young people, and then the contractual business aspect of it was a contradiction. So I think that went into, and then Mona Scott was gonna manage the group, and in my humble opinion, I don't think Kazi or I forgot his name, man. It's Jew guy. I don't think they had the business understanding to know that she was in position to take it further.
Mona Scott?
Yeah, than what it was. Because Mona Scott, her history is impeccable. Before Love and Hip Hop, she was the creator of one of the biggest management companies, Violator.
Oh, she was?
Yeah, Mona Scott was. Everybody's thinking it's this guy
Chris Lighty.
But Mona Scott was the premier person at Violator, and she's a brilliant marketing genius and understand the concept of hip hop through its culture. So, and she was having strategy. It was a lot of egos in the room, and another thing was, at the time, Kazi's wife was a former executive at Columbia. She was an executive on Nas projects and things of that nature. So she was lending her expertise, but I don't think it was overall respected. I think what's happening was like, he was like, this is my baby. And I think those things got in the way of that, because I also think he didn't.
He felt like he was losing control of his.
Right. I also think he didn't understand that he was Professor X and we were the X-Men. Mm-hmm. And he was going to be more renowned with that. I think he wanted to be in the artist spectrum more. Which is, I'm in that space where I still want to be an artist, but I don't want to do it at the right now. If I'm in a situation where I nurture and develop talent, I'm not going to do it at the expense of those younger people. And in certain ways, I think that was done, but I don't think it was purposely. I just think it was through mistake and trial and error. You grow and everything. And, he was a young person with experience, and he did more good than it did.
The devil eats talent. So when the devil sees something, he's like, hey, you might not see it at that time, but he's like, let me see what I could get out of this too. So you said Queen Latifah, Bruce Willis, and Russell Simmons, and Russell Simmons is the one that kind of made it not happen. But did the movie get made? Or
yeah, the movie's made. You could go actually check it out. You know what I mean? Sometime I'll show you the website, and it came out, but it was it was in theaters, but they took it out right in when we got. It was a time where even Oprah was gonna get involved, but certain things were not right on the business end, so it got shut down. But you see, they put all of this money behind it, and then it's like I said,
and it was called the Hip Hop Project. Is that the name of the movie?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna do some research and look that up.
Definitely.
Man, and it's crazy. Like, we're having this conversation, and I know there's so much more about verse.
Yep. There's artists that you think that is certain records that you think they did and I did, and they went to certain production companies before that.
Because when we talk, you're writing, you're producing, you're always, anytime I link up with you, you're on the phone talking like music.
Yeah.
Like, you always are talking about music, and you always have a plan, and I want to see you do great. Our sister in common.
Yeah.
Always wanted to see you do great. You know what I'm saying?
Rest
so rest in peace, Alexis. How we actually met, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
We're not gonna get too deep in that because we both will get emotional talking about it.
Right.
But
yeah.
She always wanted this for you. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact. And the one thing she promised
and she was she part of the Hip Hop Project?
Yes, she was.
Right.
She actually was the spearhead executive behind Divine's, who's a part of Hip Hop Project, prolific leader and thinker. Sometimes Divine even would clash with Kazi, because I think Divine was just a natural born leader.
Yeah.
And I think our transitions, Kazi wasn't accepting, because he knew us as children.
Yeah.
Unless it served its purpose that he could see. Like, he kind of respected Princess's transitions, but to an extent, that's me. I could be wrong, but he was Divine was a brilliant mind. So he started his nonprofit Team Revolution, and she was the executive brain behind that. She helped get him sponsorship with Ralph Lauren and all that. She was brilliant, and she was doing PR, she was just brilliant, man. And she said on her before the last operation, she said this. She said, "Do not allow this situation to rob you from." She said, "I know this. Your dream is to be an artist." Which she said, "You're in a time now where you can do that, and just do it with no expectation."
Yeah.
So just set yourself up where you get to just do that with no expectation. And if great things come from it, you continue from there. But you need that like a crackhead needs crack, so in real talk, like an alcoholic needs a sip of yeah. So if I'm not being creative, then I'm not existing. It's different for me than other people. They love, I'm not a rapper, I'm a hustler, and all of this, and all of these different ideologies. It hurt the culture in its long run, because even when you sit back and you watch that interview with Jay Mills, you hear the intricacy towards development of the craft. And if you even watch, that's why battle rap took an emerge over the industry, is because people were watching people be creative in its most rawest element. And that level of spontaneous sportsmanship is something to be admired. You know what I mean? From all of them that participate. My whole thing is just that as I started to learn about intellectual property, I never signed the papers for Fight Club, so all of those battles are not going to be released. Because I even remember like telling Mook back after the battle, because he was feeling away because Saigon was the judge, and he came with a bunch of guys, and Saigon's it's tough dude. Like, listen, man, I don't give a fuck what none of y'all say. You know, y'all seen what happened here. You know, verse. You know, and verse got it. Y'all got a problem.
He's a judge and he's also aggressive.
Yeah, right.
He won. And if you got a problem with it, we can fight.
Right, literally. And I'm talking to Mook like, yo, let's do songs. I remember speaking to Corey Guns like, yo, let's create a pillar of relationships between us so that wherever we're not politically, wherever we're not in the industry, we still have that. And we could, and I watched the South do it. And it was just like, yeah. And I personally think people like Jay Mills, like, you know, if he would have ever got ascended in that position, Jay Mills would have easily had an incredible record label because he had the confidence in himself to allow to embody other people. Like, you know who sees it? Lil Wayne clearly has it, right? To allow two individuals to maximize that level of potential without limiting them in any capacity.
Yeah.
But what is Lil Wayne? Lil Wayne has the same birthday as me. September 27th. It's a Libra.
Libras. Oh,
right.
My daughter's a Libra. They're great.
Right. Another person who has that, I see it, Rick Ross.
He's an Aquarius. But he's great too.
There you go. Like, so, you know, I'd seen D1 just criticize him. And I'm not saying he's wrong in his criticisms, but in the spectrum of entrepreneurship and empowerment, when you look at Rick Ross, everyone who came through his situation had a genuine practical opportunity to elevate themselves. You know what I mean? There are people.
What do you think about that? What D1 said?
He's not wrong in his assessment because at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, hip hop is not just music; it's culture and it's influence. It's influential, and it's not an accident that young people are infatuated with street life, right? I think, and I believe he's well intentioned, and I don't think he was trying to attack them. I think he was trying to uphold his spiritual connection to what he was saying. I do believe, though, right? It would have been more effective to say, hey, hit them personally and say, this is what I'm trying to do. Let's make some music that reflect that.
Yeah. Because everything starts to seem like
right,
like you're doing it for
right.
Because it did get clicks.
Exactly.
I never knew who D1 was before this.
Exactly. Now I did because he's had an extensive history, and when you talk about demographic, he would be someone in the demographic of people of mine because I like music that's outside of the normal socially engineered spectrum of street shit. So I get it, but and I know he means well. I don't think that Jim Jones should have responded in the manner of "I'm gonna hurt you."
I mean, Jim Jones is Jim Jones,
right? I don't think that. But I understand the defense mechanism behind it because also, if you notice the passion behind when he was saying what he was saying, what I do, he's literally from the heart of, whenever one of those rappers make it, there are so many jobs and empowerment to other people that come with that.
There's things that's happening behind the scenes that you don't really know
right.
about. Rick Ross has a bunch, like 20 different stores.
Right. So it's not just some basic, giving people turkeys out. No.
Which is crap.
When you have a Meek Mill, a Jim Jones, a Rick Ross, you have multiple people taking care of their families. Now, right? People can come to their own conviction because even Jim Jones himself in an interview when he was on Hot 90, 106, I said with Breakfast Club, he said, I struggle sometimes with myself, with the music, with my growth, because I understand it's the street shit. So let him come into that and welcome it. Because when you do what, like you said, it comes across, even though I don't think that's D1's goal, it comes across that because people are sensitive towards attention nowadays. It's why I'm even articulating myself in this interview in a certain space, because I don't want it to be about being provocative. I want it to be about consuming information. I think, like, when you look at an individual like Kevin Samuels, I think his information was lost due to how provocative the presentation of it was. And
which is, I guess, but that's how you get the attention you need, which is why D1 may have been correct in what he was saying, but to me, it was like, you pick Jim Jones,
right,
who you know is going to respond a certain way,
right,
and Rick Ross and Meek Mill while they have an album coming out,
right,
but they are not like, there's so many other people who,
right, and even in them, outside of Turkey's, like, do you really do the history on Meek Mill? He really invests in Philly, like, on a real label than that. So, and let me be clear with this, like, if D1's listening, right? There's a difference between the glorification of street stuff, right? And then a person having a spectrum of their life where that's where they draw the mass aspects of their creativity from, because that's the pivotal aspect of their life. Because even when you analyze 50 Cent, I think what made him reluctant from doing music was the prime aspect of his life was when he was in the street. And he's like, I really don't make music from any creative space but that, so I'm struggling with that. And I think that's what propelled him to say, let me maximize these other things. Because art, like Talib Kweli said it, and Nina Simone, you know, an artist's responsibility is to themselves. They're supposed to reflect the reality around them. Now, if it changes the world, and it's fine. So, and like I said, I get what he's saying, because I have music that highlights certain environments, but I don't have music but I never sold drugs. I never killed people. I'm also being true to myself. So, but I'm not better. I'm not a better human being
because you're not doing that. Because hip hop is connected to trauma, no matter what. It's birthed through trauma.
Right.
So you're gonna get different expressions from different people. Like I told you, when I used to rap, I used to talk crazy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I can't do it now, because I can't connect to that. Like I feel stupid even trying to sound tough on a song. You know?
And exactly. And that's everyone's personal journey. So when you go back to the presentation of how D1 said it, it was more sounding like it was attacking him personally than the actual situation. And that got misconstrued, and that got and media is not sensitive to that. And I don't want that, because that's a great young man that's put in a lot of work, you know, positively in the community. And, you know, and despite his religion, whatever you know, into, you cannot negate the fact that is a positive young person. And so that's I just felt like Jim should have just been like, look, you wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. I think
he got exactly what he wanted from Jim.
Yeah, the I'ma hurt you part.
Because Jim is not even really in the space of like being not saying he's not he's a great artist. He's actually become like one of the best like that's lyrically on Dipset.
That's a fact.
He's not really in the, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not in the, as a rapper, he's not really one to really talk about right now when it comes to music. There's so much other music and different artists that could have been mentioned. So it feels like it was Jim Jones was targeted because he knew that he would get that kind of response. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to go, and now that we're mentioning that, Dr. Umar recently mentioned that he feels that hip hop has not really done anything for the community, for the black community positively, because you know, what do you think on that? Like, did you see that?
Yes, I did. I see the statement, and there's accuracy to his statement, but it's not a complete truth. And I'll say this, right? Dr. Umar Johnson is a person that I learn a lot from, because he's a very educated individual, and that tends to be media. American media does not like melanated, educated black men who are unapologetically black. Mm-hmm. So anything to make him look crazy, they're gonna do. That's not what I am. I respect him. I just disagree with the statement in its totality. Because I'm gonna tell you what it did for hip hop. It provided opportunities that provided multiple opportunities for people to work within the spectrum of the culture. That's number one. It created political connections that created branding situations that advanced the culture. Now, there's truth to what he's saying, because we should have banks. We should have our own unions. We should have our own schools, right? But those now, it would have been more accurate if he would have said, when artists get to certain levels, they should be getting together and doing this. Then I couldn't even dispute that. I could have been like, hey, because even now when you hear Young Jeezy in an interview, he owns half of Atlanta. He said it. Bro, you own half of Atlanta, then you can get a school. Because if you own half of Atlanta, you can get a school. You know what I mean? And Farrakhan warned him. He said once he started changing his life, he was going to get a certain level of, you know. So those things you can't argue. But I think this, and I got a song about it, I Ain't Trying to Save the World, right? And I don't mean that from a selfish place. It's just you can't. And this unhealthy aspect that educated people believe that they're superior to people who do not know what they know, it's unhealthy. It creates an arrogance that disconnects people from grasping information, and then they hold on to your bias of them. You know what I mean? Me and Jim Jones come from the same environment. He just made different decisions in those environments.
And he was from the Bronx originally too, right?
Yeah, right. His Ken Streets is one of my favorite young rappers right now. When you listen to his music, where he redid the joint with the when you listen to it's not a glorification of street life. It's a manual to an unapologetic reality that some people, all they have is the streets. And that's an unapologetic real reality that people want to run away from. But the proximity and the connection to crime in the streets is real. So all they have is that. So he's speaking to those people. That's number one. Then there's a overcoming aspect that he's reaching. That's even where when I hear Benny too, that's even the concept behind the new project, Everybody Can't Go. He's talking about not just physically, psychologically. Everybody can't go to this. Everybody can't transition from the street person to who I am. But when you're more of a person that's into understanding and less judging, you gain more information. And you just talked about this pack and your what's the name? So you didn't know. Like these artists, I'm pretty sure, want the best for their communities, and that's why they do the things they do. But they are just relaying in their truths, you know. And I think that is the pillar and the strength and the beauty of hip hop, the versatility of it.
That was great, man. It's a great statement. Oh man, I got you here on Thanksgiving Day, man, chopping it up, man. I don't want to hold you up. I know you got your family waiting for you. I got some stuff to do also.
Yes, sir.
But I just, a couple, I want to go a little bit back into the bad boy thing because I know, there was some good times, some bad times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had some relationships that you build from that,
Yep.
You met a couple of people. I
Yep.
know you, Loon was one that you mentioned as a good guy. He
Loon,
seems to be doing well now.
Definitely G-Dep. I remember, because
Is G-Dep still in jail?
I believe so. But I remember Bigger So Big Avell, we were in on a 112th where Jim Jones is from the projects. We were in there, and I was producing records for G Dep them, and I was hopping on them. Yeah, it was great time, man. And I just felt bad because G Dep really had
demons.
Yeah, man.
But he was talented.
Right, extremely, but he really had drug problems. And he wasn't overcoming that. And I just remember one time Puff was in the studio. We in the studio. I never forget this shit. We in the studio. And the studio is like the studio at Daddy's house. It's like you can go from the studio and go downstairs right into a club. And how Puff had it set up is smart because now you get to test how records,
the music, yeah,
right. So I never forget. My mom was like, "Is he okay?" She's talking about G-Dep, cause you know those speakers that's so big they taller than you.
Yeah.
He's just on the speaker like this. The shit is loud as shit in the club.
Well, you know I'm from the Sound Clash,
right? So right, the speakers boom. Boom, he's just high, just on the speaker. She said, how is he sleeping? And I was like, Ma, I don't think he's sleeping. I think
And you said that was like common within the studio though, like that type of, like when we say drugs, are we talking about like hard drugs?
Hard drugs.
Coke?
Yeah.
Things like that?
Coke, heroin, all that, the scissor mixing it.
The people, you think that it was like helped, for some people they feel like it helps the talent, like to be able
but
to. But
I'm living proof it don't.
Yeah.
I'm living proof it don't. I've also watched it consume people where they go in there and they do one verse and then they just got a bunch of chicks in it and they doing that. And that was never me.
Man, that's crazy, yo.
Yeah.
And rest in peace to Biggie. We lost Biggie. He was part of that. Who else passed? Security guy. What's his name? Wolf.
Yeah, Wolf. Bristol. That was he was real cool. He just he was suffering from
Black Rob.
Yo, Black Rob showed the hood fellas so much love. He took us on our first, I could say, semi-tour.
That's what's up.
Because, yo, when Woe was out,
that was a big song.
Right.
Was Craig Mack still around, or he was already?
He was. They was in the process of doing some.
He kind of died down.
Yeah,
during
but he
the
was in the
Biggie
process
time.
of redoing something with Puff. Because I would bet he would be in the studio because he would come and be like, "Yo, man, I like your energy, young snapper. I like your energy." But Black Rob showed him and Khalil was cool. He showed us so much love. But Black Rob was another one, man. The drugs.
Man, a lot of drugs.
But, yo, I was scared because he loved Puerto Rican women. He's
from the Bronx, right?
We'd be in the hotel.
He is from the Bronx, right?
Yes, he's from the Bronx. We'd be in a hotel. As a matter of fact, one of the first people who connected me to Black Rob before that, his name is Black. He's from the Towers. Where Black Rob, he was like, yo, he was connecting. So when I was signed, the love, the instant, it was right away.
Keep going.
Oh, it was right away. Black Rob embraced me right away because my guy Black. And what Black Rob did was, yo, he was telling me about showmanship and it was like you gotta have your own niche. And telling me about like performances, like never do your big records first. You feel what I'm saying? And just I just remember oh, he was like, when you doing albums, don't force singles, let it be a natural feeling. And and I remember being on a show with him. That was the first time I got to hear Eminem. And I was like, that white boy nice. And he was like, yeah, that white boy nice. I was like, I remember I got to hear him and I was like, yeah, that white boy nice. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It was great talking to you today, man.
Likewise.
before we go,
Yeah.
matter of fact, hold on one second.
Yeah.
Let me get you. Gotta make some space. Talk about the relationship with Wolf. You said.
Oh, Wolf. He just liked that. Wolf just liked Gene the same way. Wolf just liked.
Who's Gene?
Gene is he bodyguard for Puff. So Wolf just liked the fact that I was mad respectful and I wasn't consumed by environment. I was just so he took a liking to that. And there was different times where I felt more, protected when he was around, you know what I mean? Whenever there was a situation where if it was a disagreement with Mr. Sean Combs, he would provide a space of hear him out. You know what I mean? Hear him out.
And Gene Dills has been talking a lot. Like he's all over that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that the next time we chop it up.
No doubt.
But before we go, because like I said, it's Thanksgiving. We know you got plans and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would like to share? Like, what do you have coming up?
Yeah. So we got Squad Up.
You could tell.
You could go to my Instagram verse hiphop 82, but we got Squad Up. The new one of the new raid joints that we got is coming out. I got a project with Life. Life, he rock with Zaytoven on the beats. Life got 2 joints out right now. That's one of them is over 3 million views. The other one's over 1 million. One of the hottest producer artists in Atlanta. Man, Life, we about to really do what we do. Then I have a group called Children of the Tribe with these really cool eclectic guitarist, singer, songwriter, Ryan, and Jay, and and I have records that I'm gonna release out slowly, and I have a project called Urban Intellectual that I'm gonna put out.
All right, well, we definitely appreciate your time, and we'll be checking that out. We family, so this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
We're gonna have another conversation whenever you're ready.
Yes.
And appreciate you coming by, stopping by the crib.
Yeah.
You know what this is. This is before social media, so we want to know there's a lot going on before social media.
Yeah.
And you got a history that's it's very deep and it's very long and we gotta hear a lot more about you, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel comfortable in the space because I know you personally, and I just want to, if I'm gonna articulate things, I want it to be from a healthy space where the information gets learned and it's not provocative just for a view. Like somebody could actually grow, from it.
And like we mentioned before, there was plenty times we could have done this, but. Want to make sure you was in a comfortable space. Yeah. And
I was consumed with certain levels of anxiety and fear of just I'm an intelligent individual, but am I gonna say the wrong thing? Am I gonna because I'm still out here trying to be an artist and I'm not trying to upset or create wars that's not me. I'm just saying, so.
Well, we're here for you anytime you want to chop it up.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy your time with your family, giving thanks, and we appreciate you, bro.
All right, peace.
All right.
Yes, sir.
That's us giving a pound just in case for the listening audience.
Yes.
All right, man. See you soon, brother.
All right,
later.
All right.
Once again, this is Industry Hotel. We are Flatbush. Your boy Face Guard Trail live here with Verse. And till next time.